Well, good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to the farm. Today we're going to be working on a special project. It is the vacuum cleaner. As you can see, it's quite dusty and dirty. Well, if this gets like this on the outside, imagine what it looks like on the inside. So about 10 days ago, my wife and I were getting ready to leave the house and go to town, and she just quickly grabbed the vacuum cleaner and was just going to vacuum up around the kitchen. I headed out the door with the kids. Unbeknownst to me at that time, this thing actually quit while she was vacuuming. And she said to me while we were in town, she said, "Oh yeah, I was using the vacuum cleaner and it just stopped." And I thought, oh boy, I wish I would have known that, because I sure would have liked to unplug it before we left for town. Because I mean, any time an electrical appliance quits, you should probably unplug it right away. You definitely shouldn't leave the house, because I mean, that's how you get a new house, right? You burn the old one down. But some backstory on this vacuum cleaner is, I mean, it's a Kenmore. We got it from Sears 13 years ago. We actually, because they're not cheap, right? They're not cheap, these things. So we got it, we used a gift card from our wedding, actually, that we had to Sears and purchased this. Now this is a model 108-34643. If you have something similar to that. But what's cool about that is, despite that model number, what's on the inside might actually be a fairly common part, because there's only really a handful of motors that these things use. Now, I know it's really dusty and dirty. Of course, it did not look like this while it was in our house. But in order for me to get it out of the house and take the old bag out and get it hauled over here, there were clouds of dust. And during the troubleshooting, because I just wanted to be sure exactly what it was, there was a lot of dust. Now, I've already taken the liberty of popping the two top screws out for the top cap to access the motor. Now, that's just one of these short little sheet metal screws. That's a 6mm head screw. Just pop it out with a little socket just like that. Bing, bang, boom. Now, when you open up the inside, you're going to see a circuit board right here, and then your electrical motor. And then there is this sound deadening foam in here. And you can see the bolts that actually hold the motor in place are just laying down on the bottom. I already pulled those out because when I needed to order a new motor, I needed to disconnect the motor so I could pull it out and look for, where is it at? Right there, the model number. So this is an Amatec Lam 12264-08. I guess I probably should have said this at the beginning. I am not an appliance repairman. I'm not an electrician. I'm just a guy that has an expensive vacuum cleaner that has a broken part in it. And I was never raised from a throwaway kind of generation. I was raised like, if you can fix it, you should fix it, because to buy another one of these for, I think, about $2,500, or I can replace that motor in there for $125. Now, if I were to purchase that motor out of Canada, to order that out of Toronto and have it shipped from an appliance repair company, was going to cost me $265 for the part, plus shipping. That shipping was going to be about $65. So, I mean, I have the part number. I go right to Lam Amatec. I verify I got the right part number. I order it off Amazon for $125. It shows up in 7 days, free shipping. So, really, for all intents and purposes, it looks like 3 bolts and then a couple of these spade connectors, and I can be back in business. But that's not what I'm going to do today, because this thing has ran for 13 years straight. So I'm going to take, the sound deadening, I mean, you can see the dust that comes out of this thing, right? Whew, right? I'm going to take all that out. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to split the motor housing right here. Right there. I'm going to pull that completely off. I don't even know what's in here, but I assume it's about 13 years worth of dust. That when I want to take this back in the house, I want to say with some degree of certainty that it's in better condition than 5 minutes before the motor shit the bed, right? I don't want to put a $125 motor in here and have it, clog up with dust and dirt and have it break down in 6 months or a year again. That's not very effective, right? So I'm going to take it out. I'm going to clean the whole thing piece by piece and then put it all back together. And, really, I sure hope it's just the motor that's gone wrong with this, because we have been without a vacuum in our house now for, like I said, 10 days. And I told my wife, I said, no, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. So I'm really hopeful it's just the motor. What I'm gonna do, I've already got the first spade connector off. I'm gonna pull the second one off right here. And we're just gonna get that motor out of the way and set aside, because it's not doing us any favors where it's at. It's just kind of in the way. I do need to, however, disconnect this ground pin. That looks like a number 2 Robertson, or I could use a Phillips as well. Let's see what we got. Well, there's number 2 Robertson. Let's see if that fits. Bingo bango. I should have left it bolted in there before I tried to do this. Now that I've got the ground wire disconnected, I'm just gonna go ahead and loosely put that screw back in there. I do not know if the new one comes with a screw or not, but take that puppy out and you can see just like how dusty and dirty it is, right? So when I brought it into the shop here, what I did is I actually, I took the whole vacuum and I just did that, and you could see sparking happening down here where the brushes contact. So I probably could have dismantled this motor and replaced the brushes, and that probably would have sufficed. I probably could have got those brushes for about $11 or $12, but I'd be putting new brushes in a motor that's 13 years old. So again, very, very high risk of premature failure, or not premature failure, but impending doom for parts that are also pretty much worn out. And for 125 bucks, you can see there's really not much to it. So I'm just gonna get that replaced. So with the motor out of the housing, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the bolts that I had taken off earlier. You can see there's just a collar and then a little bracket to hold it in place. So I've got 3 of those. And then everything else that's in there, the circuit board, the wiring, all of that is all gonna stay in situ. The gasket, everything's gonna stay right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split it here. There's another one on the other side. And I'm gonna lift this piece completely off and open up to this center canister. Set that aside right there. Don't want to lose them. Right. Well, that looks like it just takes that piece off. So maybe, just maybe, that doesn't come apart. So I should be able to crack this bottom one where the bag goes. The bag I've already removed. You just do that with those cam locks. Pop the bottom piece off. You see that's the filter bucket there. Of course, some stuff gets by the bag when you pull it off and it's full. I know it's nigh on impossible to really see in there, but when you look through kind of the grating, you can see the HEPA filter that's in the bottom. That's this bag. And tried to look in here for a way to actually remove that, and I cannot find one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take warm water, spray it in there, and hopefully a lot of this dust and dirt and debris that's residual on there comes off. I'm just rinsing out the foam filter that surrounds that motor, and boy is that satisfying to see all that dirt come out of there. I'm just pouring water now on the top side of the HEPA filter. You can push all that dirt out. You can see all the water just dribbling out there right now, so I'm confident this thing will drain nicely. Also super confident that there was a lot of dirt and debris inside there, so I'm going to fill it a second time and actually tip it over and dump it out completely, and maybe even 2 or 3 times, just to make sure that everything on the top side of that HEPA filter is clean as a whistle. All right, so now that I've got all the parts cleaned, and I'm going to say this, but I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways, just for the sake of saying it. It's not enough to clean it. You got to also make sure it's very, very dry before you go move to reassembly, simply because, well, it's an electrical device, right? Water and electricity don't mix. And even if they did, this whole canister is made of metal. Metal and water, well, you end up with corrosion. Corrosion electrical parts also lead to major failures. So we're going to make sure that's all nice and dry. And then we're going to open the box with the new motor. And that's when things might come to a screeching halt. I think I ordered the right part. It says it's the right part on the box, but I don't really have much control over what they shipped me, aside from paying a man on the internet. So let's cut the box open here, see if we got the right piece. Dun, dun. Ooh, it's even packed in foam. I wonder why it was such a big box. It actually said on the website, it said it's 27 centimeters by 27 centimeters. And I was a bit nervous because I knew that was not 27 centimeters. But looking at this, it looks doggone near, if not exactly, the same. Just a quick side-by-side comparison. That's what this looks like after 13 years. But yes, survey says that is the correct part. So that just plunks right on top of there, just like that. And then these bolts go in to hold it down. You can see right here where it anchors down. Now that I got the bolts in, we're just gonna go ahead and use a 11 millimeter. It's the one you don't lose because you never use it. Just to snug that down a little bit. It doesn't have to be super tight because there is a foam gasket here, but you want it tight enough. I don't know what that works out to in Ugga-duggas, but tight enough it's not going to move, but not so tight that you're trying to suck it through the bottom of the vacuum cleaner. Perfect. I can go ahead and get the upper canister with the circuit board installed now. So I just got it slipped over. Just got my little sheet metal screw. Pop that back in there. And one for the other side too. You can see, even though I wiped it off, still dusty. Eh? I'm gonna have to come by with a damp rag again and get it all polished up before I take it back in the house. I was a little bit concerned as to which wire went where. So what I did is I left the original wiring attached to the circuit board, and because the motor comes with new wires, so that way if I leave the original wires here, I can know, okay, the black wire goes there and the white wire goes there and the black wire goes there and the white wire goes there, and there can be no mistakes made. It's pretty important for a fellow that's A, not an electrician, and B, not even an appliance repairman. And I mean, I said this before, but I do want to say it again. Like, I'm not either of those things. I'm just a guy, again, with an expensive vacuum cleaner, access to an Amazon account, and a whole pile of tools, and not a very thick wallet. So that's why I'm doing this. But I mean, if you can afford to, maybe take it to an appliance repairman or a certified place. You get warranty, all that kind of thing. So, but for me, or if you're like me at all, if it's broke, it's going to head to the landfill. You're going to throw it away anyways. What's another $125? Just, take a risk, right? If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, well, I'm about $125. That's sad, but I really do think it's going to work. Now you'll notice one thing is missing. There's no screw in here. So I'm pretty happy that we saved this screw on the old motor. I'm glad we didn't throw that away. Go ahead and get that screwed in there. Oh yeah. Theoretically, I have all of the electrical components inside the vacuum cleaner, mounted, wired, and ready for test. Now, what I should do is put this top lid back on, because this is going to be a hot connection. But what's going to happen is I'm going to leave that off so that you can see how it functions when I turn it on. First things first, I got to find an extension cord to get it plugged in though. 3, 2, 1. Please work, please work, please work, please work. You can see that works exceptionally well. In fact, I think it works better than the old motor ever worked, even when it was brand new. It's got some major jam. It's got some Tesla power or something down there. But that's definitely one reason why, these little anchor bolts that you got around the outside, you want to make sure they're tight. You don't want to make, you don't want it to again, suck it into the bottom of the vacuum cleaner by any means. But there's a lot of rotational torque on that. So make sure they're tight, not too tight, about that much. I don't know. There's probably a torque spec on it somewhere. Anyways, I'm gonna get the piece of foam that sits in here and lines it. And then I should be able to put the top cap back on, set it back on the bottom canister. I gotta find a vacuum bag somewhere in the house. And then go inside and become husband of the year. All right, so all the parts and pieces are back on, fully assembled. I got the foam inside, I got the lid on. And I mean, why not? Why not one more time, just to see how well it works. Overall, I'd say that was $125 well spent. I can go back, put that back in the basement, and the wife's going to be super happy because like I said, we've been 10 days without the vacuum cleaner. We've been sweeping the floor with a broom and a dustpan like a bunch of peasants. So we can go back to our lifestyles of the rich and famous with our fancy central vac that's almost a decade and a half years old. You can't even get one of these anymore. You can just get, like I said, just get the parts for it. But these are in so many different makes and models of vacuum cleaner that, you know, pretty handy to have that. When you shake it, actually, there's a little bit of play in that motor. So no wonder it was time. 13 years, that's long enough. That's money well spent. Hopefully we get 13 more years out of it. So I'll let you go for now. I'm going to run in the house and have myself a cup of tea. Hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you next time.